Lesson 85. Never too old to learn. First listen and then answer the question. How long has Mr. Page been teaching? I have just received a letter from my old school informing me that my former headmaster, Mr. Stuart Page, will be retiring next week. Pupils of the school, old and new, will be sending him a present to mark the occasion. All those who have contributed towards the gift will sign their names in a large album, which will be sent to the headmaster's home. We shall all remember Mr. Page for his patience and understanding, and for the kindly encouragement he gave us when we went so unwillingly to school. A great many former pupils will be attending a farewell dinner in his honor next Thursday. It is a curious coincidence that the day before his retirement, Mr. Page will have been teaching for a total of 40 years. After he has retired, he will devote himself to gardening. For him, this will be an entirely new hobby. But this does not matter, for, as he has often remarked, one is never too old to learn. Lesson 86. Out of control. First listen and then answer the question. What was the danger? As the man tried to swing the speedboat round, the steering wheel came away in his hands. He waved desperately to his companion, who had been water skiing for the last 15 minutes. Both men had hardly had time to realize what was happening when they were thrown violently into the sea. The speedboat had struck a buoy, but it continued to move very quickly across the water. Both men had just begun to swim towards the shore when they noticed with dismay that the speedboat was moving in a circle. It now came straight towards them at tremendous speed. In less than a minute, it roared past them only a few feet away. After it had passed, they swam on as quickly as they could because they knew that the boat would soon return. They had just had enough time to swim out of danger when the boat again completed a circle. On this occasion, however, it had slowed down considerably. The petrol had nearly all been used up. Before long, the noise dropped completely and the boat began to drift gently across the water. Lesson 87. A perfect alibi. First listen and then answer the question. What was wrong with the man's story? At the time the murder was committed, I was traveling on the 8 o'clock train to London, said the man. Do you always catch such an early train? Asked the inspector. Of course I do, answered the man. I must be at work at 10 o'clock. My employer will confirm that I was there on time. Would a later train get you to work on time? Asked the inspector. I suppose it would, but I never catch a later train. At what time did you arrive at the station? At 10 to 8. I bought a paper and waited for the train. And you didn't notice anything unusual? Of course not. I suggest, said the inspector, that you are not telling the truth. I suggest that you did not catch the 8 o'clock train, but that you caught the 8:25 which would still get you to work on time. You see, on the morning of the murder, the 8 o'clock train did not run at all. It broke down at Fern Green Station and was taken off the line. Lesson 88. Trapped in a Mine. First listen and then answer the question. Why is the rescue taking so long? 6 men have been trapped in a mine for 17 hours. If they are not brought to the surface soon, they may lose their lives. However, rescue operations are proving difficult. If explosives are used, vibrations will cause the roof of the mine to collapse. Rescue workers are therefore drilling a hole on the north side of the mine. They intend to bring the men up in a special capsule. If there had not been a hard layer of rock beneath the soil, they would have completed the job in a few hours. As it is, they have been drilling for 16 hours and they still have a long way to go. Meanwhile, a microphone, which was lowered into the mine 2 hours ago, has enabled the men to keep in touch with their closest relatives. Though they are running out of food and drink, the men are cheerful and confident that they will get out soon. They have been told that rescue operations are progressing smoothly. If they knew how difficult it was to drill through the hard rock, they would lose heart. Lesson 89. A slip of the tongue. First listen and then answer the question. Who made the only funny joke that evening and why? People will do anything to see a free show, even if it is a bad one. When the news got round that a comedy show would be presented at our local cinema by the P&U Birdseed Company, we all rushed to see it. We had to queue for hours to get in, and there must have been several hundred people present just before the show began. Unfortunately, the show was one of the dullest we have ever seen. Those who failed to get in need not have felt disappointed, as many of the artists who should have appeared did not come. The only funny things we heard that evening came from the advertiser at the beginning of the program. He was obviously very nervous, and for some minutes stood awkwardly before the microphone. As soon as he opened his mouth, everyone burst out laughing. We all know what the poor man should have said, but what he actually said was, "This is the Pooh and E Seedbird Company. Good ladies' evening and gentlemen." Lesson 90. What's for supper? First listen and then answer the question. What kind of fish are they? Fish and chips has always been a favorite dish in Britain. But as the oceans have been overfished, fish has become more and more expensive. So it comes as a surprise to learn that giant fish are terrifying the divers on North Sea oil rigs. Oil rigs have to be repaired frequently, and divers, who often have to work in darkness 100 feet underwater, have been frightened out of their wits by giant fish bumping into them as they work. Now they have had special cages made to protect them from these monsters. The fish are not sharks or killer whales, but favorite eating varieties like cod and skate, which grow to unnatural sizes, sometimes as much as 12 feet in length. Three factors have caused these fish to grow so large: the warm water round the hot oil pipes under the sea, the plentiful supply of food thrown overboard by the crews on the rigs, the total absence of fishing boats around the oil rigs. As a result, the fish just eat and grow in the lovely warm water. Who eats who?